I said to you that because the armed gangs are losing the war on the ground in the Western Mountain and in El Brega, because they feel, this is, by the way, answering your question. I'm giving you the big picture. Because of the huge mass demonstrations that have been taking place in the last few weeks, because of the unprecedented support of the tribes of the west, middle, and south of Libya to the leadership, they are left only with lies, media attacks, and misinformation to boost, and this is the sad part of it, the morale of young men in the eastern part of the country. So they would continue their attack on El Brega and die in doing so. What is happening is this. They have been defeated heavily everywhere. They know that even if they gain ground for 1 day, 2 days, or even a week, that ground is going to be won back by the Libyan armed forces easily once NATO's attack soften. This is frustrating for the National Council of the traitors in Benghazi, and they find it very difficult to recruit people. So the only way to do it, and I said this, I said there are gonna be lies and lies to recruit people. The only way is to lie about small victories here and there, and that Mr. Abdullah Sunusi was killed, and that Saif al-Islam was hurt, and that so-and-so of the Libyan commanders or politicians were harmed in some way, to give boost to the morale of the young men in Benghazi and Beida and Marj, and deceive them basically and trick them into joining the civil war or the armed gangs and get killed on the gates of El Brega. It's very sad, but this is the case. We gave you figures of the number of people who were killed on El Brega. The young Libyan men are being killed near El Brega every day, in their dozens. And this is the saddest thing that I have to announce. And in the east part of the country, this information is not given to the people there. So some keep sending their kids to the war front, believing that the Brega will fall and then Tripoli will fall and they will be victorious. The truth of the matter is, we are very powerful, we are very strong as a government, as a state. We are not falling apart. We are able to perform every single duty a legitimate government should perform, from opening the smallest school in the smallest city, to opening the big factories, to ministries, while in the east they cannot have one single school operating. We are powerful, we are strong, and we are not just relying on our armed forces. And this is the information that NATO and the West, through you, should know. Our power is not just in the armed forces. You need to know that it's in the tribes and the masses who are rallying behind the legitimate government of this country. That is why, even if NATO's attacks continue for months upon months upon months, it will not succeed. As a matter of fact, as NATO kills more people, and this is unfortunate that this is taking place, and as the rebels, the armed gangs, kill more people, and more people are killed in the confrontations, more tribes join the fight, and tribes going back on the government becomes impossible, because what happens, it doesn't remain a political fight. It loses even its political face. It becomes a social honor fight. When a Libyan tribe loses, say, 50 of its young men in the fight against NATO and against the armed gangs, NATO has lost this tribe forever. This is the knowledge that doesn't get to NATO and to the West. that they have long alienated the Libyan people from any possible NATO operation. And it's what we believe in our culture martyrs do. This is exactly what martyrdom means to us as Muslims. When someone becomes a martyr, his blood becomes the power by which you fight and you become victorious. And God knows NATO and the armed gangs gave us enough blood of the martyrs for us to keep fighting till the day of judgment. NATO, you are losing, you will lose. The armed gangs in the Western Mountain and the east part of the country, you have no future in Libya. You have lost it, admit it. You need NATO to be with you, covering you, protecting you, bombing for you, rocketing for you all the time. And NATO cannot do that all the time. They will stop. And then what will you do? If you do not come to the negotiation table and talk and find a peaceful way out of this, you have no future in Libya. You'll have to run away from Libya. Gaddafi will not leave Libya. He will not leave his position as the honorable, dignified, courageous, brave leader of this beautiful nation. You are the ones who will have to leave. Unless you come and speak to us, then we will have some sort of understanding and we will move the country forward. Otherwise, I have news for you, both NATO and the rebels. You have lost the war. You see, we have to find a way so that you will never misunderstand the leader's speeches ever again. I don't know how, but maybe we should have an immediate meeting after the leader speak. Absolutely, because this has been a problem for us. The leader did not say that. The leader said that we should have negotiation, or talk, not negotiation. He said talk, we should talk. But he said, not me. He said, I will never speak to these people. He said, this matter is left to these people you see on the TV screen, meaning the Libyan masses. The Libyan people are the ones who can have talks with the rebels if they want to, and whatever they decide, the Libyan people, that him as a leader will follow. But he said for him, as an honorable, dignified leader who fought against NATO, against the armies of the West, it's not his level, he's not his position to talk to some thieves and traitors of this country. But the Libyan people, because it's their future, they can do that if they want. And he actually said, do that. He said, he encouraged the masses. He said, talk to these people and try to talk sense into them and stop this violence. And he said, march unarmed to the occupied cities of Misrata and the Western Mountain. And he encouraged the tribes of the East, and he named a few of these tribes, encouraged them to disarm the armed gangs and to gain their cities back. So we need to actually arrange something so that you never misunderstand what the leader says again. Maybe one of the ways we could do it, you do have the, we have the Libyan English channel. Are you aware of this channel? Libyan English. It broadcasts from 7 to 9, so only for 2 hours. It's a new channel, only a few weeks old. And maybe we could use it with a voice-over to broadcast the leader's speech whenever he speaks with a voice-over, and maybe then you can get exactly what he thinks. And otherwise, I could, if I'm here, I could maybe come out immediately and explain what the leader has said in the speech. Okay? Because he did actually the opposite completely. He said, we need to have talks. And he encouraged the people. But he said, no, I will never talk to these people. To my knowledge, there has been, or there was no attack yesterday whatsoever. There was an explosion near the Sheraton Hotel caused by a gas cylinder. It was a kitchen explosion that was immediately turned into an attack. because they wanted to boost their morale, as I said. No one whatsoever was harmed. All of the Libyan officials are in good health. No one was killed or injured. It's a simple kitchen incident that was turned immediately by Al Jazeera, famous for its honest approach to the Libyan crisis, and to boost the morale of the armed gangs in the east. It was turned into an operation taken against the Libyan officials and that they died, and it's all, of course, rubbish. Nothing of the sort happened whatsoever. Well, I don't have enough details of this event, but of course, as I said before, we never support any acts of terrorism whatsoever. Whatsoever. Even as we are bitter and angry and sad, we will never support any acts of terrorism against anyone, even the enemies of Libya. What the leader said before, and please do quote the leader correctly, what he said is, hatred begets hatred. And that do not expect Libyans to be machines, dead-hearted. He said, if you kill people, if you attack people, if you murder children, expect that you are building a culture of hatred and violence in the hearts of the many. And he said, we cannot control the hearts of the many. And indeed, we cannot control the actions of the many. And in time, maybe not now, maybe not tomorrow, maybe next year, maybe in 10 years' time, a terrorist like Osama bin Laden will come out and will kill many Europeans or many Americans, and then people will ask the same stupid question: why do they hate us? Well, because he killed his brother 10 years ago, or destroyed his house, or sided with gangs that were terrorizing his country. He grew up with the hatred in his heart, joined some stupid extremist organization, and attacked you to take revenge. And that's the terrorism. Terrorism is not a fantasy, is not a visitor from outside planet. Terrorism is something you build with your own hands, and you look after it, and you make it grow. And this is what NATO is doing now, is planting terrorism in the hearts of many. And this is unfortunate and sad. Yes, indeed, there was a meeting between senior Libyan officials and senior American officials in Tunisia a week ago. And there was what we believe there was a productive dialogue between the two parties. We did explain many things to the American officials. We realized and discovered that they did not have the full picture of what was happening in Libya. And we corrected much misinformation they had about the country. And we believe that other meetings in the future between Libyan officials and American officials will help solve the Libyan problem. And we believe the United States of America, as the most powerful country in the world, has a specific and special responsibility on its shoulders to act differently, especially different to smaller countries like France and Britain. And we believe that the states can do that under the current leadership of America. Just what they need is information, facts, truth, and we are willing to provide that. We are also willing to talk to the Americans more and to prove that we are transparent and honest about any promises we make. That's for sure. The American officials know very well that Libya has been a very good friend of the States for the last at least 6 years. At least 6 years. We collaborated together against terrorism. This collaboration was actually very productive. Libya was vital in the fight against Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb.